All right, welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're diving deep below the surface of public perception to really examine the incredibly complex worldview and secretive actions of billionaire Peter Thiel. Now, we're doing this strictly based on the fascinating and honestly occasionally shocking claims from our source material today. This ranges from deep philosophical analyses to some incredibly candid broadcast transcripts.
So, what does Peter Thiel actually want? Author Stephen Dial poses this exact, highly provocative question in his extensive deconstruction of Thiel's worldview. It basically challenges us to completely look past those typical Silicon Valley narratives, the ones about technological progress and free markets, just so we can understand the ultimate and sometimes heavily obscured goals driving this really enigmatic figure.
Okay, let's take a quick look at our roadmap. We're using the iceberg method today, starting with 1. A philosophy of power. 2. The war on Gawker. 3. Data and political levers. 4. Inside the dialogue society. And finally, 5. The Epstein connections.
Starting right at the top with Section 1, A Philosophy of Power, Mimetic Theory and the Katochan.
To understand what Thiel builds, or honestly who he destroys, our sources say we really have to look at his worldview. It's deeply anchored in his former Stanford professor's work, René Girard's Mimetic Theory. Now, this theory posits that human desire is completely imitative. We literally just want things because other people want them. And this leads to intense social rivalry, inevitable conflict, and eventually the violent scapegoating of individuals just to release societal tension. Author Stephen Dial argues that this framework fuels Thiel's belief that society is basically teetering on apocalyptic collapse and inherently requires strong, protective individuals to stave off the chaos.
And this right here brilliantly illustrates the core contradiction Dial points out. While publicly viewed as a libertarian who champions free markets, Thiel's hidden philosophical influences, figures like Carl Schmitt and Oswald Spengler, they actually advocate for authoritarianism. They tell a story of inevitable civilizational decline that requires the rise of a strong man, a concept known as Caesarism, to halt the decay. Basically, he views democracy and freedom as largely incompatible.
Moving down the iceberg to Section 2, the war on Gawker, weaponized litigation, and real-world power.
Let's map out this timeline, because it's wild. Author Ryan Holiday outlines this astonishing sequence of events in his book Conspiracy. It shows how a 2007 article that outed Thiel as gay sparked a decade-long, secretly funded revenge plot. Instead of suing them directly, Thiel used his vast resources to secretly fund Hulk Hogan's invasion of privacy lawsuit over a leaked sex tape. He poured $10 million into this legal battle. Hogan ultimately won a $140 million judgment, which completely bankrupted and destroyed the Gawker media empire.
Dropping even further below the surface into Section 3, Data and Political Levers, Building the Machine.
The guys over at the Liberty Vault broadcast make a great point here. Thiel isn't just an investor passively sitting on the sidelines. He is an active political mentor, orchestrating the rise of key political figures while simultaneously building these little tech monopolies designed to aggregate our most private data.
So here is the really crucial takeaway. Commentators argue Thiel is actively constructing the authoritarian katechon. That's a theological concept meaning a restraining force against chaos, which his philosophical framework demands. He does this by combining Palantir's massive data aggregation and potential control over national identity databases with top-tier political appointments, like heavily mentoring J.D. Vance to secure the vice presidency. It's essentially the practical, real-world application of Spengler's Caesarism.
Which brings us to Section 4. Inside the dialogue society, the secret oligarchy.
You have to look at this truly jarring contrast from the leaked agenda. On one hand, you have a roster including a sitting Treasury Secretary, Elon Musk, senators, military officials, all discussing heavy geopolitical events like navigating World War II and military conscription. But then, right alongside those global issues, the agenda sharply pivots to bizarre, highly intimate topics focusing on matchmaking and the members' personal sex lives. It's a completely wild intersection of elite power dynamics and, frankly, sexual deviance.
Commentators at the Liberty Vault were absolutely shocked by this revelation. They emphasize that this group operates completely out of the public eye, using a private app, which is also called Dialogue, by the way, painting a picture of a quasi-dating service designed specifically for the world's most powerful oligarchs.
And finally, we hit the very bottom of the iceberg. Section 5, the Epstein connections, the deepest layer.
The commentators in our sources really do not mince words when looking at this deepest layer. Candace Owens bluntly states her instinct on Thiel is a firm no, and she even points out that his name is literally an anagram for the reptile. I mean, wow. It really highlights the intense level of scrutiny currently directed at Thiel's darkest associations.
Now, obviously, it goes without saying that Jeffrey Epstein was a prolific abuser, and any association with him warrants severe scrutiny. But commentators argue these leaked details prove their relationship went far, far deeper than just casual math chats. They actually exchanged hundreds of emails in 2014 alone, where Epstein shockingly claimed to legally represent the Rothschilds in a federal dispute, and he actively directed intelligence figures like former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak to invest in Thiel's Palantir for protection.
As the Liberty Vault source passionately argues, these leaked communications force us into some pretty uncomfortable territory. They challenge us to question the true nature of the networks operating behind the absolute highest curtains of wealth and power, where data monopolies, political mentoring, and figures like Epstein all seemingly intertwine.
So I want to leave you with this final, chilling thought from today's explainer. As we uncover the incredible depths of this iceberg, from mimetic theory and weaponized lawsuits to secret matchmaking societies and undisclosed Epstein emails, how much of our future is being written in absolute secret by individuals operating entirely outside the democratic process? It's definitely something to consider. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.